All right. What's up, you guys? Michael Elefante here, and we have a special guest. It's my first guest on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's Marty Paletta, and I met Marty through a recommendation, actually, through one of the realtors I use here in Nashville to acquire Airbnb properties. And Marty was recommended to me. I had a past experience with a couple other photographers who did an okay job. But anyways, I checked out Marty's website and was blown away with some of the work he's done. And not just in Airbnb, right? So you did a lot of work with Airbnb Plus,
Right.
and some work in commercial and other areas as well. But I don't want to steal your thunder. So I just want to see if Marty will introduce himself real quick, and then we're going to dive into really what the importance of photography and real estate is and can be, but not just in Airbnb, but and really in the digital age that we're in, how things are passed by consumers so quickly just with the swipe of a finger. So we really want to, talk about how we can grab consumers' attention as it pertains to Airbnb, but in other aspects as well. So welcome, Marty. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You did good. See ya. No,
Yeah.
no, you pretty much explained it. I don't know. Where would you like me to start? I could start with how I got into it, or.
Yeah. Give us a little background on yourself. I mean, have you done photography for a long time, or did you kind of stumble upon it as a passion and then start doing it professionally?
Well, great question. Actually, to start with, I was actually I came to Nashville area for music. I was originally a musician. Did session work, recording work, that kind of stuff, which all lent towards a creative way of thinking. Had no idea that would apply towards photography. And after doing music, got out of that business and started selling cars. And went up and did a little bit of management and internet sales and that kind of stuff. I learned a lot from it, just about how people get interested. And I've always loved cars. My father owned a chain of Hertz rent-a-cars. But that kind of helped me think about what people are interested in or what motivates people, and helped me think creatively as far as that. After I got out of the car business, I decided I was going to be a realtor. And I wanted to, I didn't know as far as picture wise. So I bought myself a camera, started taking pictures of the places that I was listing, but then realized I liked taking pictures better than I liked selling houses. I got tired of sales in that way, but I realized I'm still selling. I'm selling myself and selling photography, but I said, I want to do photography. That's what I'm going to do. So I would sneak into model homes. Not, I get permission, but, and it was my neighborhood, truth be told. Would go into there and just practice taking pictures, practice composition. And I could tell right away that I was able to get compositions that looked really good, that later on, if you look at a picture, and anybody could do this, you could look at a picture and you go, dang, that's good. So that's kind of what I started thinking is, wow, I like this. This is neat. I can actually do this. And so I would start telling people I'm a photographer. And people eventually started booking me here and there. And then, business goes up and down like this. And eventually I started doing it. I actually did it pretty quickly full time. And that was, in late 2008, 2009, and been doing it ever since. It's been pretty much my mainstay. So that's how it started.
Yeah.
But, what I started doing that really not very many people were doing at the time was what they call HDR. And sometimes that gets bad. It's, some people really don't know what it is, but it's basically taking multiple exposures, dark ones and then light ones of the same subject matter, and then with a computer program or by hand, blending all those together into one seamless image that looks good. Well, needless to say, when I first started doing it, they really didn't look very realistic, because I was always trying to take a picture towards a window, and I would say, well, I want to see what's out in the window. And so what I would have to do is bring up stuff I really shouldn't have been bringing up inside, shadows, and it looked horrible. But I worked on it and got better at it and better at it. And very quickly, I realized that this is a great way to do photography, save clients money without having to bring in a bunch of flash gear. That's how I kind of started doing that and just improve that skill.
Yeah, that's something that I thought was really interesting. You and I were just talking about this before we started recording here.
Right.
Was when you came over and hired you to take photos of the most recent property that we bought in downtown Nashville. It's a much older townhome, and the lighting isn't that great. There's a few big windows in the place. So I'm going to bring up an image here, a couple images, but there was a couple that really, let's see, caught my attention. This one specifically, when you're looking down this hallway, the bathroom is extremely dark. The middle of the hallway is kind of, middle of the road. And then the left side where the kitchen is was really lit up because there's a huge window right there. And when you were showing me and explaining the HDR thing, it makes sense to me. But then when you kind of showed me the 3 different images that it took and the different exposures, and then it brought up, and this is like a perfect shot, where this shot I honestly wouldn't have even put in probably our listing. But with this, it just kind of you can kind of paint a picture of, okay, I'm walking in the front door and you can see everything as you walk down the hallway. And honestly, as a customer, it saved us some money because you capture 3 shots in one that you wouldn't ordinarily be able to capture.
Right. In this one, I wanted to show the flow of the space. And that's really important. A lot of times photographers will just go, oh, here's a room, let's take a picture. Here's a room, let's take a picture. What I like to do is not only that is important, but you also want to take you want to show how this room is leading into that room. Because a lot of people are interested in, okay, well, how close is the bathroom to this thing, or, vice versa. That's really important. Flow is important.
Yeah, right on. And so I know you mentioned that my property is not an Airbnb Plus property, but you did mention that you've done a bunch of work for Airbnb and shot, I guess, what they consider Airbnb Plus. And there's a lot of specific requirements, not just for the unit itself, but for photography standards. So I was kind of curious, can you talk to, how stringent those are? Is there a certain amount of photos that you're limited to per property size, or do you need certain angles? What does that look like from your perspective?
It's a loaded question. There's a lot of things that go into an Airbnb Plus property. Basically, for Airbnb, and again, I'm not a spokesperson for Airbnb, and I'm actually contracted by another company to photograph the Airbnbs for them. So, but basically, what the Airbnb Plus property is a guarantee almost to the person that's interested in staying there that it's going to have certain requirements met. Like it's going to have a blow dryer. It's going to have, and these things, I know they sound stupid, but they're important. It's going to have towels. You're going to have, the remotes are going to have batteries in them, little things like that. And it's also going to be, it's going to have air conditioning. Some of them might not even have air conditioning. They won't become a plus. The other thing is the host has to be a super host, which means they've got high ratings. They've had enough bookings over time to where people look at them and go, hey, these people are legit. They're not falsely advertising. That's the other thing too, is Airbnb works really strongly. Once we would take the pictures, we'd send them in. Airbnb might even have us go back and retake and make suggestions to the host and say, hey, do this. Let's go and add some things. Let's go and add some knickknacks over here. This corner looks a little bare. Hey, you got a scratch on the wall over here. They're really particular about that. In fact, we would literally go in and have to inspect the property, take pictures of every corner, ceiling, walls, floor, and we would have to describe it. And if there was anything wrong, we would literally have to mention it in there. And that's always fun, the owner was looking there and wondering what in the heck we're doing. And then we get blamed because, there's a problem or something. But usually the folks did really well. But they're really, really particular as far as those things. All that, so when we go in to take pictures, that the pictures look fabulous. We're not taking pictures of junk sitting in corners. We're taking pictures of something that people are going to look at and go, wow, I want to stay there. Honey, come here. Let's take a look at this. Let's go ahead and book this one. This looks absolutely fabulous. And they're not just, the other thing about Airbnb that I love that they do is they don't just do wide pictures, they do tall shots, really tight, almost design looking shots. And here's another thing that people don't realize. If you notice, the majority of the Airbnb Plus photography is with no lights on whatsoever. And I know we talked about that a little bit, no lights. And the reason why is and I'm getting into another subject here, but this is interesting because what happens is light coming from the sides. Let's say you have a kitchen island, and then you have a bunch of cabinets right back here. Well, what if you got a window right here? That's shooting right across there, separating those two elements out. And you're looking at a two-dimensional image. That's what a picture is, 2 dimensions. And so, pull up the one picture, the other picture that you had, and I'll describe it as you show it there. The one of your place, I think it was the living room.
Yep.
The other one.
Got this one.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. For instance, on this, I'm looking at my left screen over here. On this, if you notice, there's no lights on. but it's really bright. Well, of course, the camera doesn't care how long it needs to expose until it gets to a bright image. But then, of course, we're going back in and we're boosting up the certain places and making it look more even. So there's a lot of work that goes into it. But if you notice here, you can tell that the chair is separate from the table, the couch that's up in front. You can see that there's separation in here. What's happening is light is sneaking in through there. If we had lights going up like this, guess what? Everything goes flat and you don't see it as well. Plus the lights, the lights that are there are incandescent, meaning they're yellowish, or they could even be green if they're fluorescent. Light coming from outside is basically, it's blue. It's got more of a blue tinge to it, but it's much easier to color balance when you have one color showing everywhere instead of you've got green lights, you got red lights, yellow lights, and you got blue coming in from outside. It's a mess. Everything gets messy. This way, light coming in from the side separates out your elements, no light coming from the top. So you've got this really cool looking contrast that the eye just loves. Look at the chair on that table, the back chair that's right before the mural right there. If you notice, you can see it and you can see the shadowing there, and you can see it's separate from the table. It's not meshed in. It looks three-dimensional on there. So
yeah, I thought that was so cool, and I kind of felt silly on at first because I had everything set up, all cleaned up, and I had all the lights in the whole house on. He said first thing we're gonna do is turn off all the lights.
Everybody does, yeah. Everybody goes, well, how are you gonna shoot with lights off? And that once they see a couple of pictures, then they realize that, yeah.
Right. Good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about from a personal note is really the importance of, and this from my perspective, obviously with Airbnb, but in other industries as well. I mean, you could think about restaurants with pick photos and reviews on Google Maps. People are searching where to go out to eat, but with Airbnb, you really have to capture someone's attention with one photo to get them to click on your property to say, I want to see more. And then beyond that, they typically click on maybe 5 to 10 photos to decide, okay, I'm actually interested in booking this property. And then they may scroll through all of that.
People are trying to roll these things out. They're not trying to roll them in. It's the exact opposite of what people realize. They're going, no. Wait, look at that one. That looks really good. Honey, come here. Take a look at this one. Because they want to get through that process. People do things by the process of elimination, I think more so than they do trying to, oh, honey, let's look at this one and this one and this one. No, they want to roll the bad stuff out. So they'll just totally ignore it. 1 or 2 pictures and they're done. They're moving on. So you don't have much of a chance other than there's got to be a couple smoking pictures up front that just look so good that people are going to go, let's go look at this. And one of the things that a lot of people don't do, if you look at your Airbnb photos out there, most of them leave the lights on. The pictures are crooked. The verticals aren't correct. So the walls look like this or look like this. That's what a good architectural photographer will do. He'll make sure your verticals are correct. He'll make sure the composition, the walls are either straight or you're on a 45 like this, looking in, make sure that the subject matter looks good. Like if you notice my monitor right now, I'm totally not following, but watch this. Yeah. Now my verticals are correct. I'm looking good here. That's the way.
Much better.
Now you see my air conditioner looks terrible, but yeah. Hide that right there.
But yeah, that's so true. I mean, I'm as guilty as anybody when I'm scrolling through photos of, my wife and I just booked a place in the mountains, and I can't believe how many photos in rural places, more, traditional vacation homes, right by the beach, by the lake, in the mountains, to where it really looks like it's taken with an old cell phone. I mean, the images are blurry. There's only 7 photos there. It doesn't tell the whole story. And even if the place is perfectly fine, has okay reviews, in my mind, I've already eliminated it. I don't even give it a chance, which isn't fair to the owners, but at the same time, it's competitive. And somebody else who has a more welcoming images and looks like a more welcoming place, it looks clean, it's well lit, like you said. I mean, we're more drawn to that, and we'll give those a chance versus the ones that don't.
Yeah, it's a wildly competitive market, the Airbnb. If you haven't realized, if you're trying to get into it now, it's going to be competitive. The only way that you're going to stand out is you have to stand out. And a lot of these people don't realize that. I remember when I first started doing this, I would find nasty looking pictures and then I would try to get in touch with the owner via email or by phone. And a lot of times I would go, yeah. I would hear, comments back or whatever like that. The majority of people are just not going to do it, which is okay. That gives the competitive edge to the people who are willing to, make the extra effort and do that. I keep my clientele low because of that particular fact. I want somebody to care about getting this place ready, because if I go in and I photograph junk, that's what people are going to see, is a bunch of junk. So you got to do the cleanup, but at the same time, good quality pictures are going to really show off the property.
Yeah, and I imagine that's important for your business as well, as the power of referral, which is how I was introduced to you too, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
obviously you want to do a great job for somebody and then have a ton of bookings on Airbnb or whatever business that they're in and say, hey, you should use Marty. I mean, it's well worth the investment to spend a little extra money on photography, in my opinion, because you can charge more because you're going to be booked more, you're going to have more reviews. So the nightly rate's going to go up, the occupancy is going to go up, and I mean, it'll pay, you know, high dividends down the road.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those things where, like when I was in the car business, we used to have a saying, "You're only as good as your last month," meaning you got to. It was all commission, so you had
Right.
a certain amount of cars. Well, guess what? When I'm taking pictures for somebody, if they're not going to get an improvement in bookings, in interest in their property, well, they're not going to use me. They're not going to refer me. So I want to make sure. It's one of the things I do know is I work by almost all referrals at this point, and and then some referrals off the website. I just booked one yesterday, someone saw on the website, and I think, and she tried to take her own pictures, and she realized she was at the point. I think that's what we don't realize too, is people have to be at a certain point, have to be ready to accept the fact that maybe that iPhone is just not going to work, or maybe that, maybe they're not a surgeon. They're going to try to do an appendix, take out an appendix or something like that. Maybe someone else might be better at it. And really value wise, I mean, was it, I don't want to go over, price or anything like I charge, so everybody knows I charge $10 an image for Airbnb. If you think that's bad, you should see what I charge interior decorators. It's way more than that. But I tried, it's a good value. And obviously you see the quality of the picture. But if I'm not helping you generate activity in your place, no one's going to call me. So that's my goal. My goal is to always make sure that I do a home run on every single shoot that I do. So I try to help as much as I can in preparation. So when I go to do the shoot, what we're shooting is looking really good.
Yeah, and I thought the pricing was on point too, because if you have a smaller place, instead of having a blanket price, you can say, hey, I'm looking for 25 images, or in our case, we're looking for 50 to 60 images that told the story of the house, and it was perfect. I mean, it's already done well. We're getting a ton of bookings. It's been a little bit rocky with COVID, had some cancellations, but we've got a lot of interest, honestly, with the mural, and just honestly, the first photo again captures people's attention. And Airbnb provides data and analytics, so we can see the click rate and see how many views we're getting per day, and it has been.
Talk to me a little bit about that. What kind of difference have you seen since you've put up the pictures?
So it was an original listing for us for that one, but we have another one that has been very booked, and it is continuing to book. But with this one with the location, but two, I think the photos and with the mural, it's like a perfect storm. But within the first like 5 days, we had more views on the property that you took photos of than we had with the other property in the past 3 months,
There you go.
which is unbelievable.
But
So
the other thing I'll mention is too.
tell you the importance of good photos in real estate, then I don't know what will. So, and without views, you're not gonna, it's all law of large numbers, right? Just like sales. I mean,
Well, it's still chance. It's still chance. No matter how you slice it, whether we like it or not, whether I like it or not, it's still chance.
number of views and obviously number of clicks, and then the number of click throughs through the photos, that it gets you closer to the actual booking. So that's why it's definitely important.
I was going to mention this too, and I don't think I mentioned this to you, but when we shoot Airbnb Plus, our requirement is anywhere from 90 to 120 images per place. And then they whittle it down to about 45 to 60. I think, I can't remember what it was. On larger ones, anything that's bigger than a 4-bedroom, then we're shooting 120. Most are like anything it's a 2 to 4 bedroom. We have to shoot at least 90 pictures. If it's smaller, then we shoot 70 pictures. And then they get it down to, they'll take half of those and then do it. The good thing with me is, like what you and I did, I'll go through, I'll shoot everything, photograph it as I see fit, and then we'll select the pictures that get the most reaction, that seem the prettiest, that seem like they're going to develop as nice. And I always leave that up to the client to select, because the client knows best which pictures are going to. And I might argue a particular picture. I might think it might help you, of course, and we probably did that too. And of course, I want to sell as many pictures as possible, but more importantly for me, I want to make sure that what I'm giving you is a value, because I want you telling your friends that I was a value, not a ripoff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll definitely side with the value side. I mean, like I said, we've had a ton of great feedback, and my wife and I, we're big on using social media. It's free advertising, free media to post pictures and use hashtags and all that good stuff. But it gets people's attention who are looking at, maybe they follow hashtag Nashville or hashtag Music City. And if they see these photos and they could see the tags that we have in them, or for example, one of our other properties, we actually have a specific Instagram page that has all the photos done professionally on there. We have people reach out to us, and then they'll post photos in front of the mural, and it kind of goes on. So it's just word of mouth, even like referrals, just like you in your photography business, is that we're seeing that as well with Airbnb, just with Nashville being such a popular place to visit. So that's been great.
How was the turnaround time for my delivery?
Oh, it was great. We were trying to list that property ASAP, and I think we got the photos within, I don't know, 6 hours or something. I think you got them to us that night, which was amazing.
And just so folks know, it doesn't happen that way all the time. I usually say 24 to 48 hours. If I have time the day, like right now, I just shot one just before I came here, and I'll probably end up delivering them tomorrow just because I'm doing this and I've got some other stuff I need to do. So normally it is 24 to 48 hours. We just happen to get them faster for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's still a very fast turnaround time. And it's important to get listed quickly. But again, we wanted to get listed with the right photos and be prepared to make a great experience for guests.
Right.
So, Marty, talk to us about some of the other areas that you do photography. And I know you touched on it earlier during introduction, but I guess for the viewers watching, that may have a need for photography, what other areas?
Well, of course, this kind of Airbnb photography leads into interior photography. It also leads into architectural, which is basically more like exterior. We're showing a structure as opposed to like a furniture grouping. Streetscape, I do a lot of. And streetscape means, okay, if you pull into a cool neighborhood, like here in Tennessee, we have West Haven. It's a really quaint, going into Mayberry kind of looking place. And that's one of my clients, which is Southern-Land. I will shoot the streetscape for their advertising and media. The other thing I do is I do drone photography, which lends again back into there. I will do architectural of tall buildings, and then also more streetscape. I actually do video footage of that. That leads into lifestyle, it's kind of like portrait photography, except I'm photographing someone within an element or maybe their work environment. Like for instance, you'll see on my page, you'll see portrait photography of designers picking out fabrics, and I'm taking a picture of them choosing between fabrics, or someone discussing a construction site and they're reviewing over a map, or people working at their desks, or just different things like that. Modeling clothing. So I do a lot of lifestyle kind of stuff. I also do food photography. Once you do architectural, all this kind of lends into that other stuff. Food photography is a blast for me because it's a much smaller thing that you're doing, but you have to make it look live and look real, and that's always a fun challenge for me, and it's one of my favorite things to do as well. So that's pretty much it.
Cool. And I know I have your website pulled up. If it's okay, I was going to pull it up and just show it around a little bit, and then obviously want to I'll put the website and the link below for everybody if they have interest in checking it out. But I clicked on your website, and again, this kind of goes back to the importance of not just photography, but the importance of a website or Instagram page, whatever it is, however you attract customers. It is important to kind of have that sex appeal. So like, I mean, I could tell that it was professionally done, and you have lots of, photos and different services up here. So I ran through a whole bunch of, some of the work that you had posted publicly, which was great. And I looked at that obviously before I called you, but again, it goes back to, you get a click and then you get a couple scroll or click throughs and someone to see what you're offering. That's, in my opinion, you got to kind of have that curve or sex appeal in order to get someone to reach out in the first place. So I guess walk us through your website here and whatever you want to show to folks.
And feel free to scroll through whichever you like. This particular picture, I'm looking to my left because it's my screen's here. That's where I see it. This particular picture was awesome. I did this for a notable in Nashville. This was actually out in Big Sky, Montana. They flew me out on a Learjet to photograph this property. And this is a design. One of the designers that's here in Nashville had me go out and I photographed 2 different homes out there for 2 different designers. But this was basically what I do. This is about a third to a half of my work, where I'm photographing, and they'll always be changing out stuff. The fire is actually, I put that in there. It wasn't really? On time. Yeah, I actually put that in there. So that's some of the things that we do extra. Pull in the windows. The TV was absolutely blasting with sunlight, And so I wanted it to look real. So I actually replaced the TV screen with just a hint of one of the lamps that it actually was reflecting, but I wanted it to be much darker so it wasn't a prevalent image. So there's a lot of, actually with this one, it's a single shot. This is actually, I used several tens of thousands of dollars of lighting to get the shot right for a single, because it's for magazine quality. That's where I got that. Again, you'll be when you know that your photography actually looks pretty much like this.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's
Awesome. So yeah, I guess you have some photography, drone footage. So I didn't know this. You do some video too, obviously with drone. But what kind of things have you done with video?
I've done documentaries where the hard bargain community down here. I've done that for a couple years, talking about the history of hard bargain, which is an African American community, and hard bargain. There's a nonprofit that helps folks in hard bargain do kind of, it's almost like Habitat for Humanity, except and again, you need to check with hard bargain for how they do things, but not only is it helping people own a home themselves, but it helps them with education and community outreach, several different things like that. So I've done documentaries on that. I do videos on again, streetscape videos. I've done promotional videos for clients. Pretty much that's pretty much what I do, is the promotional end of things. I'm not a movie maker or anything. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then I saw you also have links up. Are you pretty prevalent on social media with Instagram or Facebook? Do you have an Instagram account where you showcase some
I have
of your work?
I have an Instagram account, but don't do what I do, which is not much. I could be better at, and I'm working on getting better at when I do a listing, or if I shoot a property, I need to get it on Instagram. I'm terrible with that, and I need to get better. Like the one I just did today is gorgeous. It's in downtown Franklin, and it's going to be up for sale here by Matt Daly. He's a great realtor agent, and the thing I love about Matt's not afraid to invest in the properties that he lists, which are, most of my clients are like that. They're not afraid to get a little bit extra, but I always make sure that they get a good value. This home is going to be absolutely stunning. It's been redone. The wife is an interior decorator, so she's done it up to the nines, and it's going to list here momentarily. My cat has decided to come in and say hello. But so yeah, so I don't know where I was, but there I am.
Instagram, yeah. So what would be the best way? I'm going to list your website down below. What else can I list for you for folks to get into contact? Is that the best way for folks to kind of just go on your website, or do you want me to post any contact information?
The easiest way is go to promediatours.com. That's promediatours.com. And there's several ways to contact. In fact, you can go to a specific genre of photography. If you got a chance, do you mind going to the website?
Sure.
And you could probably do this on a B-roll or something. But yeah, so open it up, and then you'll see where it says services, and then photography services in this particular case, and then there's all the different things. So on any of these, if you scroll down a little bit, on real estate and Airbnb, I list the pricing. On other stuff, because it's more of a day rate, I don't list it there because it'll be based on what the specific thing is. So if you notice, where were we? Yeah, these are all the different genres, but go back to the Airbnb, where it's Airbnb photography.
Yep. So, all right, here we go. All right, so Airbnb property, you can just scroll over services and click drill right into it. And so I actually recognize this house because this is across the street from my first rental, which I wish you took photos of originally, which is right there. But this one was cool. I know they did a lot of wallpaper in here. But anyways, so we're scrolling down, and these are all Airbnb properties specifically that you've shot, correct?
And if you notice, it gives you a short example there, a bigger example. If you click on the view our full Airbnb portfolio, don't do it right now, but if you clicked on that, that's, oh, okay, you did. Yeah, so then it takes you to a larger portfolio of Airbnb. Then go ahead and go back, and I'll show you where the contact is on there. On any service that I do, you'll see when you go to see where some of our work, and you'll see it says on that particular one, order Airbnb photography. Or if you ever get lost, there's always get a quote on the very top of my website. You can click there. Either way, I like on the particular services because it will let me know, hey, this is what you're interested in as soon as I get the email. And I'm pretty quick about responding, unless you're trying to contact me at 3 a.m. I probably won't talk to you until about 7 that morning. So my cat's name is Leo. I call him Tito.
A second special guest, my second ever special guest. It's a cat. Cool. Well, Marty, thank you so much for joining. What do you have any lasting, words? Maybe somebody else is interested in getting into photography that may be watching that stumbled upon this video. So
trust your gut. Don't be afraid to talk to people. If you want to get into it, I recommend it for anybody. Treat it like a business. You're a mark. You're a brand. So don't be afraid to talk about your brand. Make sure that you keep your brand clean. You don't want to don't create a bad reputation for anything. If be honest with yourself what you're good at, be honest with yourself what you need to improve, and keep working on that. That's basically what I would say. And just try to be fearless as you can, but always be polite and kind and courteous. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on. Again, I learned a ton just in the limited interactions that we had, but looking forward to doing more business with you in the future as we look to scale our properties here in the coming years. So appreciate it again, Marty. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Yeah.